Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first week of Game of the Week for CDL Season 2. I'm very excited to start making videos for this league, and the season just started. And already underway. Great first week. We're heading into week 2 now. I'm sorry this is up a little bit late. I was trying to get this up by Tuesday, but Upper was really busy, couldn't find me time to send me the teams, which is totally fine. We just have Rabbits teams to look over for today. But other than that, I think we're ready to go. If you don't know what the CDL is, it is the Chromatic Draft League. It is our fielded draft series in the Chromatic League. Invite link will be in the description. We have a draft league, obviously, that is integrated with our custom fields and crests from the Pokemon Showdown, not Pokemon Showdown, but the Pokemon fan game Rejuvenation, with our own twist to balance things out. So here we are. Week 1 was on the, I believe it was the surface field, water surface field. So water surface field is a water type field. Obviously, as the name implies. I don't have a graphic or a design for it this week because we found an art piece, but we couldn't find an artist to credit. So we didn't want to put that up here. Next week, though, there will be art and there will be a credited artist. So with that out of the way, this is the matchup here. So as you can see, the Toronto Silvalley's, which is Upper's team on the left, Mega Dancy, Cresselia, Kyurem, Registeel, Cloyster, Ditto, Dusknoir, Golbat, Hitmontop, Shuckle, Weezing, Togetic, and the Thorn Fractures have Mega Mawile, Galarian Zapdos, Galarian Slowking, Oricorio, Serena, Seismitoad, Hydreigon, Ambipom, Rotom, Kricketune, and Braixen. The Pokemon in red, by the way, are the Crested Mons. So those have the custom crest, which switches up their ability, not their abilities, but it changes the Pokemon's viability by a lot, obviously, but certain stats and stuff like that. For example, there's going to be a link to the Dawn tab where you can go ahead and find all the information there, along with the server invite. So come and join if you're interested. Other than that, right away, getting into the matchup breakdown. What's pretty cool here is, I was going to say, upon first looking at it, I kind of thought that Chikum Dusknoir wouldn't come, honestly. I mean, Dusknoir's good, but to be honest, Rotom's really strong. Hydreigon is pretty good. Hydreigon's really good if they can get rid of well, potentially Togekick, which I don't think comes anyway, and Registeel, which even can be removed with Earth Power, like something like a Nasty Plot Earth Power after a little bit of chip. Potentially could get rid of that Registeel. Shuckle is also pretty good for Rabbit to set up on. I would have, they don't, but I would have guessed maybe. I think it would have been funny to see some sort of sub Gyapdos set come into play here with the Shuckle. Other than that, I thought actually sub Taunt Wawa would be really funny, but it didn't come. But other than that, the Mega Dancy is obviously a huge problem. Not a huge problem, but it's a problem, as it always will be. Another thing to note is that Discharge and other electric-type moves as such is boosted on a water surface, along with some other things like Torrent always being activated, which doesn't come into play here, but stuff like Dive is a one-turn move, and all that. The full link to the field and stuff, like I said, will be in the description, so you can look over all of that. But that'll definitely influence the bringing the Mons broad, of course. So Rotom is very strong because of that. I can obviously check Gliscor. It's pretty fast. I believe it's 102 or 98. It's really weird. I'm not sure what it is, but it's very strong. This game. Another thing that's really strong against Upper's team as a whole is Rocks. And Mega Mawile specifically as a rock setter is pretty darn good this game, especially if it's EV to be able to take on a Mega Dancy from full, meaning that it can set rocks, and then if Dancy comes in to switch on it, even if the rocks bounce back, you can EV and Earth Power and then Iron Head off. But Mawile isn't amazing this game, to be honest with you. I don't love it. What else? From Upper side, the win con pretty strong is, well, Mega Dancy is very strong, obviously. Something to note is also Cloyster is always kind of a problem. You're kind of always worried about Cloyster. Of course, you're not bringing Cloyster if you're afraid of like a bunch of priority But the only real priority that I think you're super worried about is like Sucker Punch Mawile. Potentially fake out Ambipom, but you know, Cloyster's defense is massive, especially with White Herb, and even if it's not White Herb. All that being said, let's go ahead and look at Rabbit's pace real quick. So this is the team Rabbit brought. It's Life Orb, self-setting, Seismitoad here with Rain Dance, Dive, Earthquake, Drain Punch. As I said before, Dive is a 1-turn move on this field. Serena is max HP, max attack, Adamant with Assault Vest. This is a primary, I believe it's not the primary. Well, actually it's probably the primary. It's definitely one of the switch-ins for Mega Dancy. And it's pretty strong this game. As we saw, the Rotom is here with the Modest Nature, Nasty Plot, Discharge, Volt Switch, Shadow Ball, Oricorio also with the upgrade item. That is the standard item for the crest. So every time you see an upgrade, that basically means that mod is crested, and it is slightly different than its original design and original common Smogon tier. So Oricorio is much better. Galarian Zapdos just standard banded. And then Slowking Galar, which is a Calm Mind setup set, which is pretty interesting to note because as you can see here, Upper does not have a Dark type, which is a mandatory type to draft in Draft League. For this reason specifically, I feel like it's very much enough. Bulky Psychics are pretty problematic if you let them set up a Calm Mind and Iron Defense and such, and Galarian Slowking is one of those mons that can do that very well. So let's head into the game. Rabbit is going to go ahead and get the protagonist viewpoint because they sent me the team, and well, that's just how I've decided. So as you see, we already saw what Rabbit brought here. We already know the sets. Upper has a Diancie, the Kyurem, the Dusclops, the Weezing, Hitmontop, and then Registeel. Pretty interesting. I would have thought we'd see possible like Cresselia here. Upper's Dark type was Hydreigon, which I'm kind of surprised didn't come. I thought Hydreigon had a pretty solid matchup. It wasn't amazing, but I thought it was pretty strong. But it is what it is. Let's not get too much into the sets. Let's talk about that as the game goes on. So the music is set to off, and we're going to go on slow and start the game. So Water Surface Field starts right away. Rabbit leads with her, well, Upper leads with Weezing first, Rabbit leads with the Rotom. So Rotom comes out right away, and I believe just sets Nasty Plot straight up. So Weezing here on a Nasty Plot is going to set T-Spikes, which is a pretty interesting bring. I'm not sure why T-Spikes was brought, unless this Weezing can somehow deal with Slowking. Because Slowking is pretty comfortable. If it's Assault Vest, it's kind of comfortable to switch into Diancie and Kyurem and potentially Hitmontop and Registeel potentially. Like it can switch into a lot and just get rid of these what are these called? Toxic Spikes. Additionally, this Weezing, I'm going to assume, is physically defensive, potentially for the Slowking, or for the, not Slowking, for the Zapdos, for the Serena, and the Seismitoad. So I'm going to assume it's carrying Will-O-Wisp, and bringing Will-O-Wisp plus, what is it, Toxic Spike, is pretty counterintuitive. Like, they kind of step on each other quite a bit. So I'm not totally sure what the plan was. Maybe there's a Hex, potentially like some sort of tricky Hex Dusknoir or something. I don't know. But yeah, Rabbit's just going to get off a big hit as Weezing reveals Haze. And yeah, so switching to Registeel happens pretty obvious as Rabbit just Volt Switches out. So Weezing is here pretty much as Death Fodder. It will outspeed pretty much nothing. And Oricorio comes out, of course immune to the Toxic Spikes. And Diancie switches in on the U-turn. So now a few things can happen. Rabbit sends out Serena because this is the Assault Vest mon that is primarily designed to take on Diancie. And Upper is going to switch out because assuming it is even specially defensive or HP invested, Mystical Fire will not kill from this range, of course. So Kyurem comes out on the Rapid Spin, which means, and then this is where interesting play happens here. So Serena's at +1, assuming this Kyurem is not scarfed, and it is not scarfed and Assault Vested. So the predicted set, and this is pretty obvious upon team building is this Curum is DD Ice Beam. If you look, or DD Freeze Dry, I'm sorry. Looking at this team here, DD plus Freeze Dry is pretty darn strong, especially if you take into consideration specifically this Hydreigon here. Hydreigon here is pretty good. Well, DD Curum is pretty good for Hydreigon because of the speed. So Curum is out here. Oops, I messed up the graphic. Okay, cool. So Curum's out here. Serena is faster than this no matter what, non-scarfed, and I'm not sure what Upper did here, but he decided to stay in and just DD hard as Rabbit just clicks high jump kick, really with nothing to lose. Rabbit makes this play. It's pretty safe. Non-max specs and even max modest won't kill Serena from this range. This is a pretty darn safe play to make here. Every other swap in Hitmontop is okay. Obviously it's the best switch in. Weezing will give you a free kill, and this is, you kind of need this potentially if you're worried about Rotom setting up and you want to just get a clean revenge with Shadow Sneak or something like that. So yeah, I'm not sure what this play was. It was a hard DD on Serena, which is at +1 speed. So either Upper miscalculated the speed and thought Rabbit would switch, or I'm not sure. I mean, obviously the Curum was faster here. If I said that, that's not what I meant. So I think I said that Serena was faster, but it's obviously not faster because Serena's running 0 speed. I would have run, if I were Rabbit, I would have run enough speed to outspeed +1 Curum. Just because if you're running Assault Vest, I just think that this is a pretty, especially if this set was definitely coming. It was pretty obvious. I think Rabbit also said they were prepping for this set. So guaranteeing the living the freeze dry, you just click high jump kick and Curum goes down, which is pretty big because Curum was obviously a win con. If not the win con, it was pretty much a massive win con. So Hitmontop comes out here, reveals to be not Intimidate, as Slowking comes in and triple axles with a miss, which means this Technician, lefty's Technician, with Sucker Punch and such for Rotom. Dusknoir comes in here on the Iron Defense here and clicks Poltergeist and crits through the +2 defense, which really sucks for Rabbit actually. Zapdos comes back in here. That was pretty game turning. I think that potentially if Slowking was able to still be healthy there or survive, it would have been a different game. So Weezing comes out here as a sack to the Zapdos as Rabbit just keeps in the driver's seat, stays in momentum, and now is up by 1 Pokemon. Goes back into Rotom, which forces in the Diancie, which is pretty great. Diancie is pretty weak as long as you can. Yeah, so this lives 1 of anything. I don't think it lives a Diamond Storm, but you're not clicking Diamond Storm if you're worried about Serena, potentially. Although I think you just click Diamond Storm no matter what, right? I think Diamond Storm was the better play there. If it did kill Rotom, if it didn't kill Rotom, it doesn't matter. But Rotom now gets just big chip on Diancie, which is pretty massive, all things considered. But it doesn't matter too much because it won't be beating anything else really. So Rotom dies here. That was a risky play by throwing off the Diamond Storm. Could have potentially missed there, which would have sucked. Rabbit stays in, or actually, Upper stays in here on the side of the. I'm not sure why. I think it was just sacking Diancie here. Assuming this is defensive side of the Toad, it just sacks Diancie. Even at the +2, it should just sack Diancie. The Seismitoad here is going to set Rain Dance, which is pretty bad for Upper, because Seismitoad has pretty great coverage as it fires off Earthquake here and takes Registeel down to 18%, which is pretty big considering that, or actually, well, Registeel wasn't really taking anything else this game. It was pretty much here just to take out Rotom. So Life Orb Chip comes down, which is pretty huge. Upper can go into Dusknoir, assuming it has the priority move to take it out, and Shadow Sneak comes out and yeah, kills Seismitoad. So now they're at 3-3. This is pretty big now. Dusknoir is at full. It needs to keep as much of its health active to take on Zapdos and trade the 1v1. Hitmontop comes out as a sack, which really sucks. I think that I definitely think that the play here was... I think upper is in really good shape, actually. Oh my gosh. I don't know. It's so slow. When Zapdos comes out here, I think upper is actually in a really good position here. I would actually say upper is winning. The only reason I say that is because... So, he doesn't know for sure, but he can guess pretty much by the fact that Kyurem outsped +1 Serena, that this Serena without any speed is going to be slower than Hitmontop, which means this position here, let me pull up the calcs. Okay, here are the calcs. So Zapdos Galar versus Dusknoir. Assuming, okay, this is assuming you're max HP. Assuming you're a max HP Dusknoir, which I believe you should be, unless you're cheating a little bit to speed creep something, potentially just speed creeping. You don't even need a spin creep min speed Slowking. At most with this Dusknoir, you're running 4 speed, 4 or 8 speed, which means you're potentially running 244 HP. What that means, obviously, is that Zapdos Galar cannot kill, assuming you're running max Adamant, which is why it's really cool to have the Pokepaste, but it doesn't really matter. Poltergeist here would be doing 50 this percent, right? So 252 attack. Actually, wait, what was the calc I looked at? 1 second. Alright, my bad, guys. I forgot what calc I was looking at. This is the calc. So this is where the crest knowledge kind of comes to handy. The crest for Dusknoir is that it increases its attack by 25% and boosts weaker moves like Technician. So basically, moves under 60 base power will be granted a Technician boost. It pretty much just it gives it free Technician, and then of course the attack by 25%. So if you look at the calcs, whoopsie daisy. Oh my gosh, I was trying to find there an item that would just make this easier instead of having to put the stuff in. But Max Poltergeist does this much, and then Shadow Sneak would finish it off with Technician. Sorry about that. So the 1v1 was being completely won by Dusknoir, which is why I like this position a lot for upper when I saw it in the game. I was like, okay, upper's in a pretty strong position because Poltergeist into Shadow Sneak will kill 100% of the time, or most percent of the time, because as you saw Rabbit run a little bit of HP in this guy, but it was definitely still in upper's favor. So sacking Hitmontop is pretty rough, because if this, assuming that this does kill, where is it? Assuming that Dusknoir either chips this down enough where he gets to a 50-50. So if this gets chipped down enough, this 50-50. Does, you know, Rapid go into Serena for Queenly Majesty, and then, you know, knock off or Power Whip or whatever for that last little bit of damage to get rid of Dusknoir, or does, you know, or does Rabbit stay in, predicting upper to predict the switch on the Queenly Majesty, and it's a 50-50 basically, right? Either Rabbit switches or she doesn't, and that's the position you have to get in. So Hitmontop gets sacked here, which sucks, because if this Zapdos is removed, every time Serena's in, you can kind of switch that in hard, and Hitmontop is in, which is pretty good. Dancy comes out here. This is a free Moonblast, but I think that Diamond Storm was definitely a much better play. Of course, the stab Dancer move is going to be weakened by Rain here. Revelation Dance, so Mega Dancy. This turn, turn sucks for a little bit of percent, but not by too much. And then the Oricorio goes down. So I think Rabbit in this endgame had a pretty comfortable endgame. Upper Mystical Fires here, which is actually does less damage than Moonblast because of the rain. And then obviously Dusknoir can't do anything at this point. Queenly Majesty is active, and it will not have enough HP to 1v1 the Zapdos at this point. So yeah, that is going to be game. That is going to be the game. Good game by both sides. The turn that decided the game, though, is definitely the turn where was it? The turn where Zapdos was hard in on Dusknoir. And even assuming, let's go back to that turn actually. assuming that in this position, oh my gosh, assuming in this position, Rabbit takes the chip. Oh my gosh, I can't do anything. I literally can't do anything. What is the thing? Okay, cool. Yeah, assuming in this position the chip comes into play, there's a potential that it just Okos outright. It brings it down to a little bit, and then the recoil at that point will pretty much mean that either Rabbit is CCing or which is okay, either CCing or you know what I mean, either CCing or Brave Birding and dying. So actually after this Brave Bird, I think it was pretty safe to go into Dusknoir and just click Poltergeist instead of coming into Diancie. But at that point, the chip would this is definitely the better play here, because the chip would have put it in a situation where Serena would just kill it right away. So that is your week 1 game of the week. Sorry if I overanalyzed. Sorry if something I said didn't make sense. That was definitely a game where I felt like Rabbit was more in control. Especially after the Curum, it kind of felt like Rabbit was definitely in the driver's seat, not out of the woods, but definitely in the driver's seat. And then Upper had a couple chances there. It would have been cool to know his team to see what the plan was specifically, but that's what we got. That is all we have for today, I believe. Goodbye, God bless, and have a great day.